Hi guys, this is the Idaho Picker with a special investigative report on the DC shooting, Naval Yard shooting. I'm going to take a look and show you some anomalies and throughout the video, along with looking at other images of the DC shooting and the shooter and some anomalies that I see around it. However, I'm going to leave it up to y'all guys as to what you think. I'm going to show you these images of the video and various different images of the weapon and so on, and I'm going to show you the numerology in depth surrounding it, and let you make your own decision as to whether this stuff is logical or whether it's a coincidence or just whatever you want to think. Okay, so first thing we're going to do is we're going to try to determine, and I realize this image isn't that good, but that's what they gave us. This is a clip out of the video, and this is your shooter here, okay? Aaron Alexis, right? This is the bag. You see the bag here, okay? This is the bag that he supposedly had a broken down Remington 870 12-gauge shotgun in, with the stock sawed off and the barrel, the gun taken apart. Supposedly put it together in the restroom. Let's try to determine, if we can here, by using logic, as to whether or not that 12-gauge shotgun would fit in here, even if it was broken down in this bag. Okay, let me show you a closer look at the bag, the supposed bag. This is the image that the FBI released showing the bag in question. Now, as you may have noticed, the way that he was carrying this bag in previous photo, and we'll take another look at it here in a second, but he was carrying it with a strap over his shoulder. However, the strap, over the shoulder strap, is now gone. And this is what the shooter supposedly left behind in the bathroom. It looks like it's still pretty full of stuff. So what all is in here that makes this bag still full and bulge out, and would still allow for him to have a broken down 12-gauge sawed-off shotgun in here, okay? Now what we've got to determine, though, is whether or not we think that that 12-gauge broken down shotgun would fit in here. And I've got images of the actual gun, and I've got images of a broken down shotgun of the same size, of that same model. And we're going to take a look at that. So let's go ahead and take a look at that real quick. Actually, first, let's take a look. I want you to see that this is an over-the-shoulder strap. See, he's carrying it down here on his left hip, that backpack, and there's an over-the-shoulder strap that he's got it, that he's carrying it with, and yet the strap apparently is now missing. It's just a strange thing, why would he take the time to take the strap off and stuff it inside, right? I don't know. But anyways, let's see if we can determine if this shotgun would fit in this bag. If you look at this bag, it's hanging on the door. Your handle would be right about here where the bag's at, and then up here, of course, is the hook that it's hanging on. And so from that handle up to about the top of here, I don't know what you would guess that would be, but let's take a look at the shotgun itself. Now this 870, this Remington 870 comes in different styles. Your long form shotgun that you would take out and go bird hunting or deer hunting, that kind of thing. And it also comes in assault styles and such. Supposedly this is one of the long styles, and he cut the barrel off and cut the stock off, as you can see here. Okay. Now what you have to do is try to figure out, okay, if this gun breaks down, what are the longest pieces that are left? Let me show you how this gun breaks down. Okay, here is the actual 870 broken down, and you can see that the barrel here, of course, okay, and the various other pieces. This piece here, of course, goes on here, which is the lever action, I guess you'd say, the pump action. And you can, well, you could assume it's cut off here, okay. All this comes off, but this piece here does not come off very easily. You have to take the trigger mechanism and all this apart. The rest of this comes apart pretty easy, okay? But all this does not come apart. This piece here, I mean, it would have to be a complete disassemble to get this piece here to come out. If you'll go on, you can go online and see anybody that's taking these guns apart and putting them back together. They never take this piece apart. And the reason is, according to the owner's manual, is that you have to disassemble all the trigger mechanism as well. Okay, now we're going to look at this a couple of different ways to try to determine if this shotgun broken down could logically fit into the backsack. Right? Now, if you notice here, and there's a reason why I've got this forearm pointed out, okay, and I'm going to go in and explain that to you. Your average man's forearm is 12 inches long, okay. Now this guy, he's a little bit taller, so he may be a 13-inch kind of guy so far as the length of his forearm here. Let me show you. Okay, here's a online calculator for calculating the average forearm size of a man or a woman. I've got plugged in here 12 inches, okay, and as you can see, that's 53% of men in the nation, and that's about average is 12 inches long, the forearm. Okay, does that make sense to you? Okay, so about average 12 inches. So from his elbow, the back side of his elbow here, across to his fist where he's holding the strap that comes across his shoulder, the strap's going through his fist here, okay? His forearm, from right at his wrist to the back of his elbow, would be, I would say, the average is 12, let's say his is 13 inches, okay? 13 inches from here to here. The bag, as you can see, because the strap goes behind his arm, is actually not all the way to the back part of his elbow. So it comes from his from up front where his hand is at to not quite to his elbow. So again, approximately about 12 to 13 inches. So again, if we look at this FBI released photograph with a 2-foot measuring stick laying beside it, which doesn't go all the way to both ends, but if you can bear with me here and use a little bit of imagination, if we took this stick and slid it this way till it was equal within the end of the barrel and the end of the gun here to about right here, as you can see the distance right here, okay? So then that would move our distance over here to about right here, basically right with the trigger. So we'd be about a 2-foot long weapon from the trigger to the end of the barrel down that way, okay? Now, we know that the barrel comes into the weapon to about this point. Okay, it slides in and out to about this point. Okay, so we've got to calculate from here to here, which is not that hard to do because we've got a ruler right here, here to here. Okay, that's about, let's see here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, about 5 inches. Okay. So we're talking about 5 inches off of 24 inches. So we've got about 19 inches worth of barrel here, basically, is what, based on the fact that he sawed it off and stuff. So we got about 19 inches to about here. So we've got a bag that someone is holding under their arm that is about 13 inches across, 14 inches across, whatever it is. But does a 19-inch barrel fit in there? Not to mention, this part here does not unassemble very easily. You have to take the whole trigger mechanism out to get this part here out. Okay, you can get the internals that are in here, the spring and everything out of here, and you can get the action that sits back in here out of here, but you cannot get this tube that holds the shells in here out of here without taking this apart. So let's look at this again. So we know we've got at least a 19-inch span. We also know that his forearm is probably about 13 inches. We also can see that the bag does not come all the way back to the back of his elbow. The swing is behind the elbow and comes down so the bag is not all the way back here. So we've got probably about a bag that is about probably about 13 inches across, maybe 14 at the most. And we've got a 19-inch barrel. How does that weapon fit in that bag? Even broken down. Even if you took all the trigger mechanism out, and which is a lot more work, let's assume he did, it would still have a 19-inch barrel, solid steel barrel. It's got to fit in this 14-inch bag. Let's look at the other bag again. So here we have it, the so-claimed bag with the strap missing, and a 19-inch barrel has to fit in here, along with all the rest of the junk that's in here, because it's packed full, it looks like. If it wasn't, it would be sagging. We know what an empty backpack looks like, right, folks? So you had that gun in here with everything else that's in here. Okay? Not only just the barrel, but the other long pieces. Right? What do you think? I'll leave it up to you, right? Now here's a photo where he supposedly had just come out of the bathroom and put this together. You know, and had put it together, and he's fiddling actually with his name tag. This video exists online. You can probably pretty easily find it. It was released supposedly by the FBI. He's fiddling with his name tag, and he's right out in the middle of the hall. You know, anybody could spot him, including a security camera that's just over his right shoulder. Now, that by itself isn't that funny, but then he stands there and he turns around and finally puts the weapon in both hands. Okay, and you can see what I was talking about the barrel length. This guy is supposedly, I believe it's 6'1", so he's a pretty tall guy, lanky guy, and your barrel would come all the way back into around here. Okay, somewhere's right back in there. So you got all this barrel to go in that backpack, along with the rest of the gun and everything else. Here's the name tag he was fiddling with, and now, as you've noticed, he's turned around and not facing that way. He's facing back this way towards the camera. Just hung out there for a minute, or not a minute, but you know, a little bit. Strangely, not really paying attention to who's down the hall, who might be coming or anything. He's just, you know, kind of taking a photo opportunity for the camera to show off the gun. You know, because if you're going to make a good terror video, you got to show off the weapon, you know. So here he is now getting ready. Of course, he had his back both ways down the hall. Now he's going to turn around and go on down the hall. I just thought a few of these things were a little strange as well as the whole story of the backpack and whether that gun would fit in the backpack. Something else I found a little strange was the image of the car, the Toyota Prius supposedly coming in. And what was particularly just strange about it is that the fact that it come in and it's so dark in here that you can't see the license plate and you can't see who's in the vehicle. I've got a couple other images here to show you, but what I'm going to show you is that actually it's not dark in here. It's well lit, even though the images they released looks like it's dark coming in there, right? So here you can see how dark the images actually are coming in. You know, it's really strange because if it was a lot lighter, you could see who was in the vehicle. You know, just a thought. Wait a minute, what is that on the hood right there? Let's take a closer look. Just moved it forward a couple of frames. What that is the reflection of the huge halogen light right above the car, shining right down into the car, as you can see. And yet we still can't see who's driving. Just anomalies that make me go, In part 2 of this special report, I'm going to take you into the numerology surrounding this whole event. Everything from all the choice of numbers and dates, and even down to Mr. Aaron Alexis's name and what the numerology means, and how do the numbers work out? Are we continuing to see a repeated thing of where we see 7s and 11s over and over? See part 2.